Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the suffering to begin. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people thought that David, the singer D4vd, had really gotten away and he was just living his life the best way he possibly could. And to a certain extent, I feel like that's partially true. He knew that his impending doom was coming, and now it's here. It is here. He is held without bond. He hasn't had any visitors yet. I don't think he even has commissary. He's held separated from all other prisoners. Things are rough. And we're starting to get a whole bunch of insider information about how things are actually going for him in jail right now, right? Nick Reiner was housed there. I think Tory Lanez was also housed there. And now we got D4vd. Okay, but before we even get to that, I want to show you some of the new developments that popped up. We covered some of them last night. One being the main thing, they found what was it? 40 terabytes of information and evidence on his phone. 40 terabytes. Of those 40 terabytes, I'm not sure how many, they found loads of CP, child P, on David's phone. Actually crazy. So what I'm starting to feel like is what's happening is he thought he got away so good that, you know, he could keep on whacking off to all the CP he had stored on his phone. Now, I'm not sure if the CP was of Celeste Rivas or what I would assume it's probably a mixture of all types. You know, just a nice little collection of all types. But anyways, let's go ahead and check the first. Let's check that out first, and then we'll move over to the coroner's report. Let's check this out.
And singer David was back in a downtown LA courtroom today, days after he was charged with murder in the death of a 14-year-old girl. The judge set a preliminary trial date for May 1st as prosecutors revealed more details in their investigation. KTLA's Jennifer McGraw live for us in downtown LA with the very latest. Jen, good morning.
Hi, Megan. Good morning. Yeah, David came into court in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. Prosecutors say there is so much evidence that both the prosecution and the defense need more time, so that's why they set the date of May 1st. Now, we are learning new details, disturbing details this morning in regards to this investigation. Investigators have alleged that they've uncovered child pornography on the suspect's phone, and some of the other evidence includes wiretaps, grand jury transcripts, police body cam footage, forensic evidence, and property and vehicle reports, and of course the autopsy info. The LA County Medical Examiner confirms Celeste Rivas Hernandez died from what's described as multiple penetrating injuries, and her death has been ruled a homicide. The 26-page report details gruesome injuries after finding her remains last September inside a Tesla linked to David Anthony Burke, who simply goes by David. Investigators say Celeste was last seen on April 23rd of last year. David has pleaded not guilty, and legal analysts say what matters now is whether prosecutors can directly tie those injuries to the defendant.
Unless more information is revealed and we learn more from the police reports, the prosecution is still going to have to show that it was David that was holding whatever that weapon is and inflicted those injuries.
The case has drawn added attention because of David's 2022 breakout song entitled Romantic Homicide.
So that's basically the whole thing. They found a whole bunch of CP on this stuff. And I mean, you're dating a 14-year-old. Naturally, you're going to have CP on your phone if you're dating a 14-year-old, right? So I'm assuming that it's other girls as well. We don't know, but we all know that David likes them young. And David loves to shave that beard of his to make himself look as young as possible. Actually, disgusting work here. And we're going to hear about his conditions very soon. But I wanted to get a more in-depth report about this medical examiner's office report about how she died. They kind of sped through it, and we slightly went over it on stream last night. But now I've been able to actually read it and understand it. So I wanted to read this top area where it says medical report summary and then the summary opinion narrative. Let's check this out real quick. All right, so the first thing that was a bit obvious to everybody, number one, severe postmortem changes. She's been decomposing for a long time, and the fact that she actually was chopped up probably added to her decomposition going faster. And I remember when this case first came out, everybody said that she was chopped up, and it seems like even the police were trying to change that narrative as much as they could. They didn't. For a long time, we weren't even sure if she was actually chopped up or if that was a rumor. Now, come to find out, I think she was cut up 7 separate places. Let's keep going. Number 2, 2 penetrating wounds of the torso. A, right abdomen with injury to a liver. B, left chest with penetration of underlying intercostal space and cortical disruption of adjacent ribs. So she got stabbed in her abdomen and on the other side. Now, we don't know what stabbed her. And like the person who said in that news channel, we don't know who stabbed her yet until prosecution reveals more information. But I'm pretty sure if they arrested him, they have enough evidence to prove that he's the one who actually did it. Number 3, other findings. Bilateral dismemberment of upper and lower extremities. B, multiple additional skin defects. And last, they have number 4, C, separate toxicology report. So I'm just going to go through this. I'm not going to go through all the gory stuff, but I want to give you guys an idea of what the medical examiner was actually working with and why it took so long. So it says, per medical examiner investigator report, this 15-year-old female, so she was 15 at the time she was found, Celeste Abigail Rivas Hernandez, was found dismembered in a state of decomposition inside a car trunk on September 8th, 2025. Death was pronounced at the scene. Autopsy examination was limited by extensive post-mortem changes. There are 2 penetrating wounds of the torso with smooth edges that may represent sharp force injuries. The wound on the upper abdomen penetrates the liver, and the wound on the left chest penetrates one of the left intercostal spaces. With disruption to the adjacent ribs, cortical surfaces, the left lung appears intact. Okay, so they kind of, they go into it, and it's gruesome. But the most gruesome thing of all is when you actually get to see the medical examiner's report, the diagram. Okay, I didn't know what I was reading when I first looked at this on stream, but now we know exactly what we're looking at. So check this out. On the left side, we see the 2 stab wounds. Pretty simple, and they show how deep it went. So it says 3/4 defect, and I think it says 1.5 inch depth. That's the first stab in the torso, 1.5 inch depth, and this one over here is 2 inches of depth. So that's pretty, like, that's gonna kill somebody. That's a good amount. I mean, okay, boom. What is that? 2 inches? That's enough to get somebody in their vitals, especially a smaller, skinnier 15-year-old that's not fully developed and grown and has a little extra fat or tissue around her. So boom. Let's go to the other side, and this is where things start to get a little disturbing. They list out, long black hair. The globe, we had to look up what that was. The globe is just like the whole structure of the eye, the socket of the eye. One globe not present, so we don't know how that disappeared. Maybe it, rotted away, or maybe it was removed. It says globe with extensive postpartum. Then we have the other eye. It says globe with extensive something changes, and I think that word, I can't read that word properly, but I think it's just the eye was rotting away. It was decomposing. And this is where we get to the crazy part, because if you notice here, you're going to start to see these lines across the body. Line here, line there. There's a line here, line there. And next to each line, it has a description. So let's start at the top. 9-inch top of shoulder, dismemberment. That's a dismemberment. 6-inch top of shoulder. That's another dismemberment. This points to a defect. 9-inch top of leg. Another defect, right? Another dismemberment right here. 15-inch bottom of heel. Dismembered again. 10-inch bottom of heel. 12-inch top of leg. He cut her up, I think, 7 times, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's a whole bunch of other defects on the body. On the back, the hand is scratched, the finger is cut up. But the fact that he or whoever helped them cut this person up 7 different times is a next level. I don't even know how you have the stomach to do that. You know, I grew up in the era of Live Leak, you know what I'm saying? And all those cartel videos and shit. It's not the easiest thing to dismember a body. It's not like the movies where it's just like swing and things just start flying off. No, you have to hack and hack and hack. But anyways, that's the autopsy. Listen, guys, David's never getting out of prison. I hope you guys realize that. Never, ever, ever. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you before we move on to his present day situation. I want to show you the drugs that are also in her system. Now, it was mentioned on the news on the news post that we saw in the beginning, but I just wanted to point it out. She did have drugs in her body. Check this out. She had benzodiazepines in her system, no fentanyl, because, you know, when you think about overdose, you would think that the drug was stepped on or mixed with fentanyl, right? So no fentanyl, but she had benzodiazepines in her system, methamphetamine, and MDMA. So that sounded like one hell of a fucking party. So she definitely was on drugs, and we don't know if it was before, during, or after. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if they were already partying and then they got into an argument. We don't know how it went. But I'm pretty sure defense for David is going to go the route, or attempt to go the route, that she OD'd, he panicked, he's just a sad, innocent, artistic boy who didn't know what to do. But at the end of the day, you're still fucking a year-old. You understand what I'm saying? Anyways, this is the most recent thing I've seen about David so far, and I wanted to share it with you. Apparently, David is not on the S-word watch. No green schmuck or anything. No, nothing. He's not on the S-word watch, as opposed to like Nick Reiner or who else? Daryl Brooks, or just all the people who do crazy things. For some reason, he's not on it. This is what TMZ source had to say. It says, David is living a far different life than he was a week ago, trading his $15,000 a month LA rental for a cold jail cell with strict rules. Law enforcement sources tell TMZ the musician charged with murdering Celeste Rivas is being held in a segregated cell. And we knew this was going to happen. We don't know if that's always going to be that way. He's just in jail right now. We don't know if that's always going to be that way, but on first arrival, you would assume he's segregated, and this is the jail right here. Jesus, may we never go there. Then it continues. David is escorted from his cell to shower, which he is allowed every other day. The singer is only allowed to make phone calls on the days he's allowed to shower. Fuck. Sources tell TMZ that David is allowed recreation time with fresh air, but only 3 hours per week. Sheesh. Listen, another commentator had said this, going from being chronically online to being stuck in a prison cell with nothing but thoughts. Ooh, that's probably got to be tough. Dopamine spiking all day, just dopamine spiking, and now you don't have any? Ooh. Where were we? Okay, so he's only allowed 3 hours per week. He has no contact with other inmates during rec time. David does not have access to a television and cannot have visitors at this time. He's locked in, baby. The sources reveal that David doesn't have any money on his book at the moment. Now, what happened to his mother? What happened to his team? What happened to all the millions he's been making being a superstar? We don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is a lot of people are starting to turn on him to save their own asses. That's what we do know for sure. Then we have another greasy ass picture of David. It looks like he was sweating his balls off right here. And this is the last little section. In addition, one law enforcement source said the location where David is locked up is dirty and smells. Well, boo fucking who, David? The fuck? Damn, that sucks. Does it smell like pee-pee? The fuck? The source described the facility as wild. He is not on S-word watch, according to the sources. Other inmates who have been housed at the jail include Blueface, Tory Lanez, Suge Knight, the Menendez brothers, and Danny Masterson. Oh, you guys remember Danny Masterson? That's crazy. You guys remember him, right? That's wild. Shit. You never know, right? As TMZ previously reported, David was placed in segregation at the facility that can hold up to 5,640 inmates, blah, 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 blah. But that was just, just an idea, giving you an idea of what David's going through right now. It's not pretty, and I think it's going to get a whole lot worse over time. So stay tuned, because we're going to be covering the downfall of David happily on this channel. Make sure you go check out the second channel, AG Tactical Clips, and shit. I'll see y'all real soon. Stay inside, stay safe. I love y'all. Peace.